Yo, welcome to my YouTube channel. Now listen, thank you for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. And if you're an aspiring cook, young chef, home cook, whatever the case may be, you're gonna get value out of this. And I think it's really important to talk about, listen, I'm not a professional sharpener. I didn't train in Japan on sharpening a knife, but I can tell you one thing. The last 15 years of my career, I've had a sharp knife. And it's taken me years to develop a technique and a process that I like to go through to keep a really sharp knife. And I want to basically share that information with you. So if you're new in the kitchen, you're going to get value out of this. Trust me, if you want to use a Japanese whetstone. It can be so intimidating, especially with a lot of chefs that they literally geek out about how cool their knives are and what type of stones they have, and the list goes on. And then plus with all the information out there, it's just like crazy and it's overwhelming sometimes. So here's my guide to beginners sharpening a knife. So we're gonna jump right in over here. Listen, as soon as I move my camera around. Now listen, my knife is sharp, but I want to make sure it's super sharp. And depending on how much I use it, I pretty much just touch it up once a week. And if you notice, this whole process only takes me about 5 minutes, right? So I think what's really important and what I'll go into is the actual sharpening technique. So this will be the first thing I'm gonna talk about. Now, getting this angle down is key. You have to have the proper angle when you're sharpening this knife. Now that's in between 15 and 20 degrees. And I know that can be confusing, but honestly, it's really not. The way that I found out and the way that I learned is after a few swipes, you want to check your knife. If you look at your knife, you will know if your angle is too big or too small because you will see scratches on the knife. Now, what's really important is, as you can see, I'm kind of like just sharpening my tip here, but when you're going on the stone, see right here in this position, I'm pushing up and I'm releasing when I come back. Push up and then release the knife when I come back. You're not scraping it both ways. You're scraping it one way. And then this way, same thing. I'm pulling back and I'm releasing when I come up. As you can see, there's no water on the top of the knife. So you know I'm doing the job right. If there's water on the top of the knife, on the actual knife, that means you are scraping the stone and you don't want to do that. Now, obviously I've been doing this for a while, so it looks like I'm just doing it effortlessly, but honestly, it takes years to perfect it. But I was up and running and sharpening my knife after 2 to 3 months. Anyway, I know that was a lot of information to take down, but I promise you, I'm going to make it really easy for you. So now, as you can see, up, resistance. When I pull the knife back, no resistance. When I turn it over, same thing. Pull back, no resistance going back up. This is very important. This is key. Now, I think a lot of chefs and a lot of young cooks make a mistake by getting quarters or a Sharpie or a chopstick or whatever it is and using a guide to sharpen their knife. And listen, I completely get it and I'm not against it. But what I'm saying is you're just doing a disservice to yourself because you're not learning to hold the angle properly. So as you can see, like literally I'm holding that perfect angle as I'm swiping the knife on the stone. And then this is very important. So I'm going heel to toe, or well, heel to point, I should say, just to make sure that that edge is straight, right? So I'm just evening out the edge and making sure that it's straight, literally from heel to tip. Now, let's get into stones. So basically, there are a ton of whetstones out there that you can get, but the two big differences are synthetic and natural. Now, if you're experienced and you want to geek out on natural stones, go for it. Be my guest. I've had a few. They're wonderful, but I got to be honest. If you're a beginner, go with synthetic. You want to get a setup just like this. You can get it off Amazon. It's less than $100. You can get, 2 stones out of it, but you want to go with double-sided. Now, what's really important to know is the grit. The lower the grit, the rougher the stone. The higher the grit, the softer the stone. Anything below 800 is rough grit, and then 800 to like 2000, your medium grit, which is ideally what you want to sharpen on. And then anything above that is polishing. So as you can see, this is a 3000 and an 8000 grit stone. So I am in the polishing stage, and I spent more time polishing this knife than I did sharpening it because it's already sharp. So as you can see, I'm hitting it on the last polish, and I'm literally doing the same thing that I was doing before. I know my knife is good because it's like music to my ears. And I think what's really important is just play this video back and watch how I'm sharpening. I know I'm going fast, but basically I'm just maintaining the same angle and I'm working my way up and down the knife. So sharpening, resistance when you go up, release when you come back on one side, and then when you flip the knife over, it's the reverse. And then after you hit it 10 times on each side, what you want to do is swipe the knife from heel to point, and you will see that it'll even out. And then most importantly, you want to feel the burr. Now listen, the burr is a completely another subject, but I'm not going to go into that today. But if you're new in the kitchen, my suggestion is to buy a setup like this and then go get the cheapest knife you can find. I would suggest Kiwi. That was the first knife I learned to sharpen on. And let me tell you something, it's great because it's like a tin can, so you could literally keep it sharp with no problem. But you want to destroy it. You want to give it to people, let them borrow it, give it to your grandma, give it to your mom, whatever the case may be, and then keep sharpening it, right? And then you'll build more confidence. Now, don't go out and buy a $500-600 knife and think that you're going to do a good job sharpening, because it doesn't matter what knife it is. After a certain period of time, you're going to need to sharpen it. I wouldn't suggest investing in a knife until you know how to sharpen. And that's going to wrap up our video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And listen, if you got any value out of this, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Make sure to hit that follow button and hit me up on IG and TikTok. All right, peace.